Beyond the historical significance, do you see, any political or legal implications arising, from this admission? Could it also, affect future demands for justice and reparation?
Well, it can be one of many things, and of course, we are talking about history here. We're also talking about politics. But legally, I doubt if there can be any other implication, because we have moved on, sort of, and all frayed naps are increasingly being assuaged. President Tinubu was an actor in the June 12, in the pro-June 12 movement. He's the president today, and it was full of effusive praises, for President Babangida yesterday. So if a President Tinubu sounded the way he sounded yesterday, is an epitome of the kind of feelings, the kind of emotion that is gradually resonating with all those who were probably angry with the man. And like I said, I was part of it even as a young man, as a young journalist. I felt bad, in the initial stages. It took me time to begin to look at him, President Babangida, that is, from a different perspective. And in retirement, he has lived a good life, sort of. He has played a very good role as an elder statesman, welcoming people, talking to people, preaching peace largely, avoiding controversy. So he has continued with his personable nature. And
don't you think there are people?
Yeah, excuse me. And that's why, to some extent, I've not read the book, but I've read snippets of it, But the only area from the snippet that I read, especially from the account of Olusegun Adeni, who read it, who did a slight review in his column, I am expecting a retort, from the Abacha family, for instance, because he largely placed the blame on the annulment of the June 12th at the doorstep of General Abacha. It can be looked at from a different perspective, because Abacha is no more around, to defend himself. But I want to believe that, families, or friends of General Abacha might come in to provide a countermand, to some extent, on some of those declarations. But again, it's also a mark of courage on the part of President Babangida, to volunteer those information, realizing how close, he was to General Abacha. But again, it also tells us about, the other dimension of leadership. Sometimes, when you are too nice as a leader, you may lose control. And sometimes when you are not necessarily even too nice, a leader may not be completely in control. A leader can be captured at any point in time, because that leadership position can turn out to be a cave, where you are insulated from reality. And in being insulated, your aides or your lieutenants, your trusted ones, may lead you into the direction you do not ordinarily want to be led. But back to what I also said earlier, it's an autobiography. An autobiography is an opportunity for an actor to render the account of his trajectory in life, But again, there's one commonality with autobiographies, You cannot get the other side. It's not a critical rendition of accounts, it's one that is out to portray the person writing as good. If, for instance, I'm writing my autobiography...
You can't say you are bad.
No, I cannot. If I lied at any point in time, or if I ever cheated on my wife, I'm not going to put it there.
Exactly.
But ordinarily, I'm supposed to put it there. If it's a critical
But what of
review.
the Abiola family? You didn't mention in all of this.
No, the Abiola family...
They could lay claim to being the losers.
Yeah,
they lost the whole lot.
The Abiola family has largely been assuaged. You do not forget. Even before President Buhari recognized former MQ Abiola, the influential billionaire that won the election, there had been some kind of restitution. There were relationships, tribal relationships between the families, and eventually President Buhari did what he did, and that was a high point of recognition. So I do not see them coming out to want to do, to want to seek a pound of flesh at this moment, in my own opinion.
32 years, I mean.
32, but I just think that we should honestly move on, forgive IBB, and of course regard him for who he is, a great leader who was very good in decision making, who was very personable, very creative. Remember, he was the first military head of state that adopted the title president, ordinarily a nice person, but again, like I think Afegwa hinted, sometimes, like Bertrand Russell said, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. it's only a man that is not human that may not fall into the trappings, the temptations of power, which can lead one to misuse it sometimes, or to be lost in the position that he's occupying. But he has done well on account of this book. I've not read it, but the bits and pieces I've seen is quite revealing and insightful.
Many thanks.